I'm Blessing Shumbamini, and I've been in audit for a number of years, more than 20 years. Worked in both government, private sector, international organization. Like currently, I'm with SADC. By the way, I've moved from Zimra, where I was Director Internal Audit and Risk Management. Currently, I'm the Head of Audit at Southern Africa Development Community based in Botswana, where we deal with 16 countries, looking at also risk management issues, business continuity, and internal audit issues. I'm also the president of Institute of Internal Auditors Zimbabwe, where I've been assisting them in ensuring that as internal audit we are known and heard in Zimbabwe, not only in Zimbabwe, but also in the region. I've worked with various teams in ensuring as organizations we achieve audit objectives, where I've also managed to set up from scratch, in quotes, internal audit units, I think for 2 organizations. So that was really a milestone for me. Coming up, establishing an internal audit unit where it wasn't there before, it's not an easy thing, because people really, they don't understand the role of internal audit. But I would take my time to educate them so that they really know what the value of internal audit is. And even up to now, I continue to preach the gospel so that a lot of people are converted and know exactly what internal audit is all about. We may have the technology, we may have all the tools, but if we are not transformed as auditors, then it doesn't make sense. Like a good example I would want to give you, we now have AI tools, but I can see from my interactions and discussions with auditors, some are saying, no, let's not, maybe they are taking time to embrace them. But I tell you, if they are to embrace them, it may assist them in terms of their audit turnaround, assist them in their service delivery, assist them in adding value to the business. Yeah. Why I'm moving away from issues of compliance. Like I liked it when he introduced to me, where I'm saying, let's smash the rear view mirror. Let's not continue to look backwards. We are going forward. So what I'm saying is, as auditors, move away from dwelling on the past. I tell you, if you look at most audit reports, auditors are focusing on what has happened in the past. But assuming I'm a CEO, as a CEO, I would not want to dwell much on the past. I'm looking at what may affect my strategy in the future. So that's why we are saying auditors should have or should adopt what we call a radar system. You look at intrusion, right? More of like an intrusion system. You detect what may happen in the future before it has happened. In other words, I was also challenging them from being historians to fortune tellers. But it takes someone who also understands the business operations of an organization. You can only audit effectively when you understand the operations of your organization. Like you guys, I expect you to know more about your organization you are working for. That's the mandate of the organization. And if you address the mandate of the organization as auditors, then we'll be adding value to our clients. Yesterday I was talking about mindset change. I think that's very critical to auditors. You see, the landscape we are operating is changing. Actually, there's chaos. But in such a situation, you don't have to remain where you are. You need also to adapt. That's why I was saying yesterday, as auditors, what we need to do, given that there is a lot that is happening within the world, within our operating environment, first of all, we need to adapt to the change that has come, whether we like it or not. Otherwise, we become irrelevant. The second thing is to adopt like the technology that we are talking about, the new ways of doing things, the new methodology, because there's no way you can expect different results but applying the same methodology. In some circles, that's what they term as stupidity, because they're expecting different results but the same method. Yeah. Then the other thing is, once we have adopted, we expect our auditors to be adept. When I talk of adept, I mean they have to be skilled in these new techniques, in these new ways of looking at things. So what I'm saying is, what is needed as auditors is also to evolve. The only thing that will take us to the next level or to our Canaan, for us to move from Egypt, we need people who have adopted, who have embraced the change, and who are willing to change. How can they do that? You see, there is a lot now that is happening. If you also look at even the Institute of Internal Auditors global website, there is a lot in terms of literature, in terms of tools that we can employ to move from being a compliance auditor into a strategic advisor. But the other thing that I've also noted is, you see, as auditors, sometimes we are laid back a lot. We don't want to be involved in the activities of the organization, hiding behind the finger or hiding behind what we call independence. It's a clear view that most auditors fail to understand what independence is about. Independence speaks to our reporting structure, functionally to the audit committee and administratively to the CEO. But when it comes to objectivity, it's a different thing altogether. So there's no harm in me as an auditor attending operational meetings, because it helps me to understand the business, right? But what I need to do now, when I have attended these meetings, still my reporting structure is not being affected, isn't it? I'm still reporting to this administrative to the CEO and functional to the audit committee. So why should I say my independence has been affected? But if I'm involved in a project, for example, from inception, and I'm giving them advice, and that's what we need now, be involved right from the start up to the end. But when it comes to assurance, then I can recuse myself so that we maintain that objectivity that they are talking about. There are safeguards to that. But what we have seen, most auditors, they don't want to be involved in the business. They don't even understand the business. So my question is, how then do you audit the business that you do not understand? You see, a CEO does not want to hear much about what is happening, in as much as it's important, what is happening in the payroll, what is happening in finance, what is happening in procurement or communications. He is really interested in the mandate of the organization. For a good example, if you look at the revenue authority, the CEO, they expect me to articulate things on taxation, things on customs, things on commercial clearance, things on rebate. It shows this auditor understands the business. Then I'll be able to assist my CEO to achieve his objectives. But if I focus on peripheral issues, like the issues of petty cash, the issues of banking, they've got nothing to do with the mandate of the organization. So that's where the problem is. So until we move from such a position, also I maybe just to add on this one, they usually say we want a seat at the table, at the high table. Yes. But it's not just being invited to the banquet or to the high table, because you might be there, but you're not taking part. Just like what we've seen in our parliaments. We have a lot of MPs sitting in the August House, but they do not speak. All their terms, they are not speaking. So it's pointless for them to be in that meeting. Same applies if you're invited to these executive meetings and you don't contribute. It's as good as you are not there. So auditors, we mustn't remain silent. We must speak out our voice. We must and also be able to highlight those difficult conversations that we fear most. Because I believe that's what CEO wants to hear. And I can tell you, we'll be adding value. We would have moved from just compliance but to strategic value. In as much as compliance it's important, but it's not more important than giving a radar system, looking at the strategic view of the organization, auditing, the strategy. And if you look at most of our auditors, if you ask them, in your plan, are you auditing strategy? You hear no. So then it doesn't make sense. So if strategy is not part of their audit plan, then what are they auditing? because it shows that they are not identifying key issues. They are not speaking to key issues that matter at the organization. As a result, the CEO would not want even to give them a seat at the high table, and they will remain compliance focused, which is something that we are saying, let's move away from that and graduate to being a strategic advisor. What I've experienced in this profession is that there is what we call relationship management, and that is very critical as an auditor. You see, you need to relate with clients. Like, you know, for us to understand what is happening within the business or within the organization, I must be able to interact with various, you know, people from different directorates and units so that I appreciate what they do. So it's through relationship management. I should be able to visit them not only when I'm auditing or even investigating. No, even just telling them, guys, I'm coming to finance you just to appreciate what you do, so that when I'm also auditing, I'll be able to give them or to offer effective and workable, you know, and implementable recommendations as well. So what is key is, with CEOs, what I've noticed, most of auditors, we don't have time with them in terms of meetings with them. You know, it's different where I only meet the CEO when I want to present my report, and where I can meet him even during any other time, and we can discuss even work-related issues, even in an informal manner. Because what I'm just trying to do is to create my relationship with him, such that when I bring those hard discussions, when I bring those hard conversations or difficult conversations, as they say, it would be easier for me because we have a relationship already. Yes. And once I have that relationship, I'll also be able to highlight the importance of implementing the issues I'll be talking about. Unlike when I'm meeting the CEO, it's maybe when we have done an investigation or an audit report. Obviously, he or she will also react differently because we only meet him when there are issues. Let's be able to create a relationship. And I think once we do that, you can actually see even from not only the CEOs, but even all other managers, you have a good relationship. They will really appreciate our role. And the other thing is also important to highlight the role of internal audit to the organization. What I've noted, most auditors, we don't do that. But staff awareness is critical, where we clarify our role, what we do as audit, and also the role of their clients, and the importance of working as a team. Because I always believe working in silos will not take us anywhere, but if we work as a team, we achieve more. So teamwork is critical. If they play our part and we play our part as auditors, then I don't see us having such challenges. But if we don't do that, and you see, because of maybe you are compliance focused, or you are a historian in courts, it then means also, you see, besides compliance, sometimes a policy may say that there are supposed to be 2 signatories to this document. Let's say there is one. Yes. If you are compliance focused or a historian, just say, no, this auditee did not perform well because there was one signatory to the document. But the question is, we must go beyond compliance. What is the risk associated with that? Yes, if there is no risk and the risk is not material, I should not even waste my time reporting on that. And that one now, it shows that you are thinking beyond compliance. You are not a robot. Maybe that is just configured to think, but you're also thinking at value addition. That's what we say, value addition. So without value addition now, then you will not get the seat at the table. But as you speak as we highlight issues, the importance of them, yes, there is in compliance, but what are the effects to management? Actually, they will give you the seat at the table because they're adding value to their operations. You are giving them a strategic view instead of just focusing on what happened in the past without really looking at the impact to the business operations. And the other thing is, I think for CEOs, they also want an auditor who brings issues in business terms, yes. Right? If you're talking of a risk, what is the impact to the business? Not just generalizing which might be a clear sign that also an auditor, in as much as is our employee, is failing to understand the business operations. Imagine if I'm speaking to the mandate of the business, highlighting business terms, like for example, if we don't do this, assuming we're in a revenue authority, then we are likely to lose VAT of such an amount. We are not talking to the business, and surely the CEO will give an ear to you. But if you highlight other issues, no. So keeping your seat at the table, relationship management is key. The issues of diluting findings, I think it only comes because your relationship is bad. Because I believe if there is this relationship, you can also highlight the effects of diluting findings. If maybe a CEO has asked you to do that, but I believe if that relationship is there and you have already also made them aware of the impact of such and what the standards require, I don't see even the CEO doing that, because there's a relationship already. So relationship management skills is very important. To move from compliance focused to the other type of auditor that I'm talking about, a strategic advisor. The first thing I think is, from a practical point of view, maybe I'll share my experience. Once you begin to have the strategy as part of your audit plan, you have moved from such things, because what you are focusing on now is achieving objectives of the organization. You are not focusing on a policy says this, this one did not sign this, but you are looking now, these were the objectives that were set by the organization. Did they achieve them, right? If not, what are the issues and how are we going to, or how are they going to address the issues? We also advise them. So it's about looking, yes, what has happened. It's to some extent, one may say it's the past, but what you want to do now. By the way, when I'm saying audit strategy, you don't audit when the strategy period is already lapsed. No. Yeah, it's a continuous process. Before strategy, during strategy, and after strategy. So that way you'd find even the CEO would want even to look at your reports, because you are looking at something that is at his heart. You see, strategy, it's the CEO's baby.
Yes, data points.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And also even the board will be interested in that, because that's their document. All these operational issues, they say, yes, in as much as they're okay, but this is the real thing. So if we move to that, and once we move to that, what is also needed is we must be futuristic. We must look into the future. Now we are now looking at what are also the risks that may come in and affect this strategy. That's the only way. And the other thing that really matters is value addition. As an audit, whatever you're finding, look at it, what value is it adding to the business operation? If it's not adding any value, you just drop it, which means you would have moved from compliance. Like the example I gave earlier on, there were supposed to be 2 signatories, but the document was signed by 1 person. So as a compliance person, I'll take it as my finding. But me, I'll just go beyond. Fine. Given that there's only 1 person signed, who signed? Were there any fraudulent activities that happened after that? No. Were there any irregularities that happened? No. So why should I report on it? Which means I just leave it. I focus on key issues that matter. That's what we call about value addition. I look at the value being created, or the significance, or the materiality of the issue that I'm reporting on. So that way, surely you'll be different from someone who is focusing on what has happened in the past. And also, being a futuristic auditor as well, you are only not talking about issues that have already happened, but you are moving, anticipating things that will happen in the future. You are looking beyond the horizon. And how do you do that? It's through trend analysis. We must also study trends. And with trend analysis, we'll be able to predict the future. That's why I said Auditors now, they need to move from being historians to fortune tellers. How do you become a fortune teller? By looking at trend analysis. That would help you to predict maybe in the next few years, or even time series analysis from our statistics, where you can say in the next, the projection is that in the next 2 years or so, the organization may not be able to achieve its objectives. Why? Because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So CEO, you need to address this. And I tell you, you have a table, you have a seat at the high table. Maybe I'll also address both the chief audit executive as well and the upcoming auditors in terms of their frustration. But maybe the first thing I would want to highlight is, as audit, it's all about teamwork. It's not about an individual. It's not about the head of audit. It's not about the auditor. It's not about the senior auditor. It's about the team, because this product is out of teamwork. The auditor does the field work. The supervisor supervises and reviews. The head also reviews and comes up with a final document. So it's input from all of us as a team. That's the first thing. And my encouragement is, let's continue to work as a team. Right. Then in terms of young auditors that feel frustrated, yes, I've heard that a lot with conversations with upcoming auditors. But what I think is, yes, I know there may be approaches with different chief audit executives, where some they feel they've got monopoly over knowledge, but I disagree with that. What needs to happen now is, sometimes you may need to lobby, but I also think I need to challenge these young auditors. You have seen that your CAE is compliance focused, or is still a historian. The onus now is on you to prove them wrong. And how do you do that, right? You then, when you come up with your audit findings or your audit reports, it has to be different from the compliance-focused one, which means yours, you are coming from what I would call the radar view system. You are looking not only things on compliance, but yes, compliance might be there, the present might be there, but also the future. Have all these issues in your reports. And surely these guys will see, no, this is a different report altogether. And I also tell you that if you also include the latest analytics, like in terms of the tools that we are using now, the techniques, like for example, I think you know that from our audit we usually do sampling.
Yes.
It's because we don't have the tools. But for young people now, I know they also have the expertise even to extract more information. So what is needed is now, please, they need to blow the trumpet by, like for example, doing 100%, applying the new audit tools, and also embracing AI. I know most of our chief audit executives, they have not embraced artificial intelligence, robotics. And also we may have even software. I know most of them would not want to use the software. So with all these tools, it means the report that is going to be produced by this young auditor, surely it will be a challenge to the status quo. But you'd also see that it would add more value to the operations of the unit. And I believe by doing that, surely the chief audit executive would recognize, yes, what is also needed is respect. They might be young, but I think expressing themselves but with respect is very critical. Highlighting the key issues, highlighting where the unit should go, maybe highlighting the norm of the day, because things have changed. We cannot continue to live in the past, but let's allow these young people to experiment. And if there is value add in terms of improving the audit report, surely I think, especially me as a CEO, I would embrace that, because at the end of the day, we need our report to be adopted by the CEO, to be adopted by the board, because there is value in the report. So young people, young auditors, don't remain silent, but only speak through your work. Let your work speak for itself. Let there be quality, let there be value. Because sometimes these auditors, they may complain that no, my senior auditor or my head is not really listening to what I'm saying. Gathering experience and skills is also important. You see, it's a process.
Yes.
But speak out with evidence, with value-add findings, and I believe no chief audit executive will ignore you. But at the same time, as a chief audit executive, my tone also should not hinder, these upcoming auditors. I should allow everyone to express themselves. Then we view as a team picking what is critical to our report. At the end of the day, we need to pick key issues that speaks to the strategy, key issues that add value to the organization. It doesn't matter whether they're coming from a junior auditor or from a senior auditor. We should allow to do that, as I said, because we are a team. Thank you.